for the NECO BEC exam, which is an exam taken by grade 9 of students who are in Nigeria, they also, let's not call it a mimic, states in Nigeria have their own, what is called the state-based BECE. Rivers State. I'm based in Rivers State, so we do what is called Rivers BECE. But I prefer the NECO, and I would encourage schools to do the NECO. The NECO usually gives you a clear indication of the quality level of your students. If your students do NECO, NECO is not paying me for this advert. If your students do NECO BEC, they stand a better, you as a school stand a better chance to see their strengths. The questions are top notch. They really push you to the extreme. My description may be subjective because I may not be able to tell what happens in other states. I can only say more about maybe Delta states, maybe River states, so I can say more about that. But the NECO BEC is something you want to try. So we come to the NECO BEC mathematics. How does it work? The NECO BEC mathematics is divided into two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is for 1 hour 20 minutes and paper 2 is for 1 hour 20 minutes. And this translates to the fact that every question, and each of these 60 questions each. So NECO BEC paper 1 is 60 questions. NECO BEC paper 2 is what? 60 questions. Now, in looking at this, it will mean that every question translates to about 1 minute and 20 seconds. I hope I got that math right. Every question will translate to 1 minute and what? 20 seconds. Now, aside being 1 hour 20 minutes, something students must take note of in preparing for this exam is that there are questions that you should solve in 10 seconds. There are 5 seconds questions. There are 3 minutes questions. So while we talk about the average, it's important for you to know that you must manage and make good use of your time. But that's not the discussion. That's not the discussion for us today. Mathematics multiverse. I have grouped maths at this level into 3 major areas: arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. Arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. Now, in the exam proper, in the NECO BEC, what they have done is do a little tweak. They have arithmetic and geometry as paper 1, and then they have algebra and statistics. Algebra, then statistics and probability as paper 2. It's important to know how many questions you have for each one. That's something you must take note of. It's important for you to know how many questions you have for each one. For paper 1, arithmetic is 24 questions and geometry is 36 questions. Now, the geometry will essentially cover 3 areas. Okay, about 3 areas. You have trigonometry, you have majoration, you have formal geometry, okay, 4 areas, and then you have what? Construction and loci. I'll come again. Trigonometry, majoration, formal geometry, then construction and loci. These are the 4 areas identified in geometry. Why am I saying this? Because in future editions of this course, I'm going to shred this verse. I'm going to shred this multiverse and show you why you need to know how many questions. I have applied it. It works for me. In fact, by the second year, I was able to produce 2 A's. 2 clean A's. 2 clean A's. Now, third year it was awesome, but this year I have a target. I want to raise the number of A's in BECE because now I have a working formula. I've been able to do my research within this period of handling BECE, NECO BECE, and I think I have been able to crack it. And I want to share this to schools. So please, like my channel, and because you're going to be seeing, like my channel, share it to friends, because you're going to be seeing loads and loads of secrets when it comes to NECO BECE, except we decide to change. And I have also gathered NECO questions from 2008 or thereabout. So although that will be paid for, so if you're interested in having that, you need to contact me privately, and then I'll be available to you. Why am I doing this? I believe in one thing. The outcome of a result should be the product of work done. So if I've done my work, I usually don't bother so much about whether the students will pass or not. I focus on ensuring that I equip them right. But once I equip them right, they will do well. So back to our discussion. Arithmetic is 24 questions. Geometry is 36. And then when we come to paper 2, you have algebra. 42 questions. I'll take a pause here. 42 questions. You know what that means? It means if you don't do well in algebra, you have a problem. If you don't do well in algebra, you have a problem. So you have algebra, 42 questions. Then you have statistics and probability, 18 questions. Now, I always tell my students this thing. You cannot fail more than 2 questions under statistics and probability. This is the cheapest aspect of this exam. 42 questions. 18 questions. You cannot fail this aspect. You can't score less than 16 over 18 here. If you do that, there's a problem. Another area where you shouldn't score less again is arithmetic. And I usually pride myself as a man of geometry, so I expect my students to do well in geometry. But I had a shock one year where my students told me that they preferred the algebra. I was surprised because I usually used to feel that it's quite abstract. But my students said they found the algebra really, really interesting. That's a learning point for me because it means I've taught a set that has a different perception to learning. So these are the breakdown of the exam. And while saying this, I forgot that there's also a third paper. There's a paper 3. Now the paper 3 is usually for 45 minutes. And I think why I left that one out is because that one is usually sometimes very difficult to predict the questions. But funny enough, I also have developed a formula for detecting what the questions will. Get to find out. In fact, if by the time we start doing analysis of the questions, you discover that there's a pattern. Every time you pick an exam, try to find out the pattern. For instance, I know that if I'm picking Cambridge, I know the kind of questions I'm going to set. I know that there's like the area of a triangle, you need to know half AB sine theta, half AB sine theta, or half arrow squared sine theta. That's something Cambridge likes to talk about. So if I'm going to teach Cambridge, I should know that very well because that's something that is a constant. So for paper 3, you usually have about 2 questions, I think, if I have that right, and you're required to answer everything. That one is really subjective. By the time we begin to get close to the exam, and with analysis I've done, I'll be able to tell you, okay, this is where I'm suspecting questions to come out. So you discover that paper 1, I've told you, is arithmetic, 24 questions, geometry, 36 questions, and paper 2 is algebra, 42 questions, and then we also have statistics and probability, which is 18 questions, making a total of 120 questions. As we proceed, I'm going to see, it's a very detailed work I've done. I'm going to tell you how many questions to expect as subtopics and what are the subtopics you do not bother yourself worrying about. That's it. These things are very, very predictable. So I believe I've given you so much tonight. I decided to take this to our discussion tonight because it's not just to solve the questions of the board. You as a teacher, especially if you're a teacher, or perhaps as a student, you are yourself, you need to get your strategy right. It's not about how many hours you read. In fact, I play the keyboard. If you watch carefully, there's a keyboard here. I did that on purpose. I have a keyboard set here. One of the things I have learned from the keyboard is that prior to now, we always have this notion that we really have to, score songs, stress ourselves and whatever. But if you go online and look for somebody called Stevie, I think that's the name, you see his technique, and he's been a motivation to me to come up with ideas to make the learning of mathematics more interesting. I've also seen that the people in vocation always churn out A's every year. And I've asked myself why. Because they're able to come up with ideas and strategies that make the learning fun. So while you're preparing your students for this exam, it's important to allow the student to own the learning. The students must own the learning. Gone are the days where we come to class and we do all the talk. No, they must own the learning. Give them tasks. I always tell my students, I'm okay if you fail within the training. It's okay. The one place you're not allowed to fail is on the Champions League ground. Because once that match is played, the result is final. So make the mistakes here. Let me see them and then provide support. It's not the end. It's better you make the mistake here. We'll take care of it. And when you get to the examination, we'll become a better person. I'm trusting I have spoken a lot tonight, and I'll trust you'll be able to remember Mamu Jarvis. I have a page on TikTok where I do a bit of matrix and fun talk. I have a page on Telegram where I dump questions for the exams, and then I also have a WhatsApp group where I do mentorship program. In fact, for this new academic calendar year, we started something I call the science mentorship program. What's it all about? We want to mentor students, take students through online. So your parents, students, teachers can buy into the plan, and what we do is you will learn at your pace. So all you need to do is to contact us. We'll give you questions, we'll solve, we'll show you where to go. Yeah. Our mission is to say no to online. It is disgraceful. It is disgraceful. As I close tonight, special shout out to my executive director, Madam Ibim. I greet you, ma. You've really been an encouragement to my course. Special thanks to my wonderful parents who have been very supportive and allowed the engineering son to bear into teaching. Although my mom is a teacher, very sound English teacher, very sound. Special thanks to my principal, Mr. Hygienius. Special thanks to my VP, admin, Mrs. Adah Joy. I'm actually the Vice Principal Academics of Algebra Education Center Boarding. Special thanks to Mr. Kirian, the school principal. You can contact us. If you love what you're seeing here, you can join us in this project. One thing I can assure you of is this: ABEC of today is an ABEC of transparency and integrity on the conflict. We are on a crusade to say no. Child is on this journey as we flex to make education fun. I'll be leaving you now, and the midnight song will continue. So see you on Saturday. Saturday by 9 p.m. Maybe I could be forced to go back to the board to solve questions, but I want to focus more on giving you not just something on the board, but also to equip you with the relevant techniques to succeed this year. So thank you very much for your time.